What's up? What's up, my people? Welcome to episode 66 of Who Gives a Dram. We are here better than ever, better than last week, better than the week before, and better than the week before that, because it's a new week. It's a beautiful week. It's a great week to have a great week. And today is a great day to have a great day. I am your host, Connor. And together we are going to be here reviewing a little whiskey and talking about the week that we all had. I had a great week. It was a fantastic week, actually. Got a lot of stuff done. A lot of things happened. A lot of big sporting events. A lot of big trailers. A lot of big everything. And I'm excited that we get to talk about it. Before moving on, however, let us always remember that the best way to support the podcast is to subscribe on all platforms, leave a rating and review on iTunes, go follow Bourbon with Friends on all socials, go follow Who Gives a Dram on all socials, and most importantly, go buy my merch. Who Gives a Dram has a sweatshirt out for $35. I make less than $5 on every order, so it's about as cheap as I can make it while being a drop shipper. And I hope you all enjoy it, and I hope you go buy it, www.thegrapevinemedia.com. Go to the shop. It's there. I'll link it below in the show notes. And this podcast is also brought to you by The Grapevine Media, as it always is. So, yeah, man. Yeah, that's really it. First things first, I will be in Kentucky this weekend. So whoever's listening to this, if you're in Kentucky, hit me up, slide into my DMs, let me know, because I will be in Kentucky Friday night to Monday, like afternoonish. And the reason for that is I am going to be hanging out with my fellow Bourbon with Friends co-host Paul, and we're gonna do some shenanigans together. We're gonna record some podcasts together, and we're gonna have some fun. So that's really the reason that I am going down there. I got to fix this. There we go. That's the reason why I'm going down there, because me and Paul have never met before, and we need to meet in order to further our bond as, the greatest podcast out there. But no, I'm going out there because we're actually picking a private barrel from Bradshaw Bourbon that is going to be a commemorative bottling for our whiskey event, for our bourbon charity event, the Bourbon Ball, the Kentucky Bourbon Ball, April 23rd, benefiting the Folds of Honor charity. All of our VIP guests will be getting a commemorative Bourbon with Friends barrel pick from our friends at Bradshaw Bourbon, and that's going to be huge. Not only have I never done a barrel pick before, but I've also never been to a distillery, which is insane because I've been doing this podcast for over a year, and I've been thankful and lucky enough to make some really good connections, yet I still haven't been to a distillery before. So that's going to be fun. We have a few podcasts lined up, and I'm sure we will I'm sure some weird stuff is going to happen. I'm sure some Instagram lives will be taking place. I'm sure some videos will be made, and I'm sure that it's going to be a good time. And I'm honestly looking forward to it. I don't travel often. Actually, if I'm going to be honest on the podcast, which I am, I've never traveled. I've never really traveled far. This is going to be my first time flying, so kind of nervous about that, but I'll get over it. And it's just a weird feeling that this is kind of where whiskey has brought me. I'm traveling to Kentucky to talk with some really cool people, to pick my own barrel of whiskey with my good friends, with people who I consider some of the closest people in the whiskey business to me, especially Paul, just probably the closest guy I have in this business, legitimately a very good friend of mine. And just to talk business and to have a good time. I mean, it's just crazy. You asked me this a year ago, I never would have thought. If you asked me literally exactly a year ago, if you asked me this, I would have been like, that will never happen. I will never go down and pick my own barrel because I can't afford it, and why would I? So the fact that we're here is really cool, and I'm just really looking forward to going down to Kentucky, hopefully seeing some people. I don't know if anyone's even going to be near where I'm near, because I don't even really know where I'm going to be. But if you're anywhere near the Bourbon with Friends headquarters, which is somewhere in Kentucky, hit me up on Instagram. Let's see if we can get together real quick and maybe grab a drink or something like that. But regardless, it's going to be a great time, and I'm looking forward to it. And that's happening. I'm leaving Friday afternoon to get there for like Friday evening. I'm flying out of Providence. I'm touching down in D.C., and then I'm going to Lexington, I believe. It's either Lexington or Louisville. I don't know which one. And then Monday afternoon, or Monday later in the day, I'll be leaving. I'll get back home around like 11 or so. So that's going to be fun. I'm really, really looking forward to that. My first experience flying. It's going to be a legendary one. It's going to be a good one. I don't know if you guys are watching the YouTube podcast. I got a new phone, finally, which I don't even have this in like my little notes I want to talk about, but I got a new phone finally. I had my upgrade, so I paid like $150 all said and done for my new iPhone 13 Pro. So if the video quality looks a little better, that's why. It's because I got a new phone. My old phone had a crack on the front camera, so anytime I did TikToks or Instagram lives or anything facing the front camera, it was always like blurry, and like lights would reflect off the camera, and it looked like streaking glitters or gleams of light on the freaking camera. So I wanted to get rid of that because I'm a professional and I need to look like a professional when I'm taking my selfies. So I did that, and now we're good. But I think hopefully that means that our video quality is a little bit better because I don't have a camera. It's all recorded right on my iPhone in terms of the video. And I think it looks pretty damn good for that. So before we get into the whiskey, I have a few things I'm going to talk about. As always, I'm going to pour the whiskey, let it sit in the Glencairn for a little bit. We are doing the highly coveted, newly released Jack Daniel's 10-year bourbon, or not bourbon, whiskey. Today we will talk about why Jack Daniel's is not considered bourbon when we go over more of the whiskey. Do a cork pop here. So we're going to pour this. We're going to let it sit. We got a few things we got to talk about. And then we'll get this ball rolling on the on the review. First things first, Super Bowl weekend. I love Super Bowl weekend. I think Super Bowl weekend is, it's got to be top 10 weekends of the year, I think. And it's solely because of the amount of food that you eat. What do we have? We're going off a list. Bagel bites, Tostitos, Cape Cod potato chips, Doritos, buffalo chicken wings, barbecue chicken wings. And what we always do in my family, it's a tradition. My family's all about traditions, and I want to continue that when my seed is walking this earth, is traditions. I love traditions. One of our more obscure family traditions is having root beer floats during the halftime show of the Super Bowl. So that was also on a list, root beer floats. It was a great night, just me, my dad, and my mom, chilling, watching the Super Bowl, getting all fat and happy, and drinking some root beer floats at halftime. Speaking about halftime, the halftime show was awesome. It seems like it's being positively reviewed online. I thought it's being like a little bit overhyped. I mean, it wasn't that good. 50 Cent sounded terrible, but it was cool to see him there, and how he's hanging upside down like a bat, like Batman, like Black Man. Imagine if 50 Cent was Batman. How would that go? I wonder if 50 Cent... I wonder if 50 Cent can fight. Like, legitimately fight, like Batman. Like, if he has any ounce of not professional training, but boxing or kickboxing or something like that. I would need to think about what character 50 Cent could play in the Batman universe. My first assumption is Alfred. Anyways, What were we talking about? Yeah, 50 Cent wasn't that good in the halftime show. Mary J. Blige was obviously lip syncing that first song. And I don't know. I mean, I wish we heard a little bit more Kendrick. I thought Kendrick was like the best one out of all of them. Obviously, I'm a huge Eminem guy, so hearing him play Lose Yourself was cool. Dre and Snoop doing Next Episode and Still Dre was awesome. I wish they gave another song to Snoop and another song to Eminem and another song to Kendrick. And honestly, I would have been fine with getting rid of 50 Cent and Mary J. Blige altogether. But you got to get another song to Eminem. He's literally the most famous one up there. Dre and Snoop are very famous, and Dre is very rich. But I feel like Eminem is the most polarizing one up there by far. And by far the most popular. And in terms of record sales, I would assume the most successful. But that's neither here nor there. The actual game itself was very fun to watch. I feel bad for my buddy, like I know him, Joey Burr, aka Joey Franchise, aka Joe Burrow. I was rooting for him hard. I really wanted him to win. I really wanted the Bengals to win. But deep down, if you asked me deep down, I knew that they weren't going to win. I just knew there was no chance they were going to win. The Rams, with how good their defensive line is and how bad the Cincinnati's offensive line was, there's no chance you're stopping Von Miller. Never mind Aaron, the greatest defensive player in recent history in Aaron Donald. So I just didn't see them winning, but I was pulling for them hard and I was rooting for them. It was a great game though. Shout out to the Rams getting their Super Bowl win. Shout out to Matt Stafford finally getting something. Cooper Kupp and Super Bowl MVP, well deserved, stud. And although I'm a Giants fan, I should technically hate OBJ. He played really well in the postseason, and it looked like he probably, I don't know if the reports are out now of what his injury is, but he probably strained his knee. It didn't look like he tore anything or really badly injured his knee, but he did play well, and he did deserve getting that championship ring. So I'm happy for him. And I love Sean McVay. I'm a big Sean McVay guy too. I think he's great. So that was fun to watch. I had a really good time during the Super Bowl watching that, and I also had a really good time watching the trailers of the trailers/commercials from the Super Bowl. I had a few favorites, and I'll start with what my favorite actual commercial was, and then we'll talk a little bit about the trailers that we saw, because there's one in particular that we need to talk about a little bit more in depth than the rest. My favorite commercial was, I think it was for GM with Dr. Evil. Dr. Evil is, if you had to make a definitive list of the top 10 movie villains of all time, and you don't put Dr. Evil in there, you're wrong. Dr. Evil is, talk about an icon from like the late 90s to the early 2000s. The Austin Powers movies were huge. And Mike Myers cemented his GOAT status just from those movies. Never mind Shrek, or never mind any of the other movies that he was in. Inglourious Bastards. Bet you didn't know that. Or I'm sure you did, but I bet you forgot. He's a legend. And the fact that he's double playing Austin Powers, he's playing Dr. Evil, he's playing Fat Bastard, he's playing Goldmember, I'm sure he's playing other people too, is just insane. And the fact that they get Michael Caine to play his dad is just like perfect casting. But anyways, I loved that commercial. It made me laugh out loud when Scott was saying he had a baby, and Dr. Evil goes, "I'll name him Baby Me." That was hilarious. That was hilarious. I send a meme all the time to my friends with it's just Dr. Evil looking at the camera like this. Lets them know I'm up to something no good. Lets my friends know I'm about to do something dirty. That was by far the best commercial of the Super Bowl, and it wasn't even close. Now, but we did have a few trailers. Moon Knight came out with a special like sneak preview or an extended trailer. That's coming out next month. We got to see Moon Knight's full cape, which I thought was cool. I wasn't huge on it when the trailer first came out, but now I'm pretty big on it. I think it's going to be really good. And what Kevin Feige is saying with, how mature it's going to be and how really violent and gory and almost like kind of scary it's going to be. I'm all for that. I am going into it with a very open mind and almost kind of expecting a little bit too much based on how every single Marvel movie and TV show has been in the past. So I'm really looking forward to Moon Knight, and I'm looking forward to breaking that down on the podcast, episode by episode, going a little bit further into it. We had the Jurassic World Dominion trailer, which I think looks awesome. I think they finally, it doesn't look CGI anymore. It really doesn't look CGI anymore. And speaking about looking CGI, I didn't write this trailer down, but we have to talk about it, is the Lord of the Rings trailer as well. But let's talk Jurassic World first. The original cast coming back with the new cast is awesome. Chris Pratt looking very handsome, very scrumptious in the trailer. Sam O'Neill or Sam Neill, whatever his name is. I always forget his name in Peaky Blinders, but it's a legendary character. I can't remember. He's in Peaky Blinders season 1 and season 2. Along with Jeff Goldblum and the other girl who was also in a Star Wars movie. She was in The Last Jedi. Forgot her real name. But the two groups coming together and having to stop an even bigger T-Rex is just going to be awesome. And the fact that Chris Pratt is training Blue to protect him and his family, at least that's what it looks like. That's what I gathered from the trailer. Is going to be awesome. I thought it looked visually stunning, and I would not be surprised if it's going to be the number one grossing movie of this year. There's a toss-up between a few movies. Jurassic World Dominion, if it ended up being the number one domestic movie of the year, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't know if it'll be international. I think Avatar will probably beat it out, even though, who wants to watch Avatar? I don't know. The Lord of the Rings trailer, was not impressed with it, not one bit, and I'm actually, I've gone on record saying it's probably the most anticipated show of the year. It probably still is, but, it just looked not good. It looked like the production quality of The Hobbit, and if it's going that route, I'm not watching. If they're going to do CGI orcs instead of real prosthetics, I'm not watching. I don't want to watch it. I hated The Hobbit for that reason. That's what makes the Lord of the Rings so freaking good, is even though it's in an era where CGI wasn't good, the prosthetics were the best ever in any movie. So if they're going to go down that route, I have no interest in watching it at all. The white orc in The Hobbit just pisses me off. I hate even thinking about him. How much better does the white orc look in The Return of the King than the one in all the Hobbit movies, or whichever ones he's in? I just don't like it. Even Smaug, Benedict Cumberbatch, Benny Cumbies. I mean, even Smaug looks bad, I think. I don't know. I really hope it's good because I really, really like The Lord of the Rings. I just have a really bad feeling that it's not going to be good. The last trailer that we need to talk about. Let me take a sip of water first. The last trailer that we need to talk about is the trailer that blew my mind. And they showed it before the game even started. And I thought, all right, my night's over. I can go to bed happy. Is the Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. This trailer was madness. This trailer overperformed in every single aspect a trailer can overperform in. I didn't think it was possible to build hype after Spider-Man. Spider-Man got so much hype, and it's killing it at the box office. It officially passed Avatar for the third highest grossing movie domestically ever yesterday, which was Valentine's Day. So 2 days ago, by the time this podcast rolls around, which is mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. I didn't think it was possible to build more hype for a movie after that, because the movie was so hyped with, is Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire going to come back? Are we going to get other Marvel characters in this? Yada, 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 yada. I don't know if this movie will beat the box office of Spider-Man. I actually would be very surprised if it did. But it might beat the single day record. Like, it might beat Spider-Man for number 2 all time in terms of an opening day. Because I am so hyped for this movie. I am so hyped for the Batman, which I'm going to go see in a few Thursdays. And I am so hyped for Doctor Strange. I'm even more hyped for Doctor Strange than I am for Obi-Wan. And that's saying a lot because I love Obi-Wan. Star Wars Jesus. A few key points in the Doctor Strange trailer. Seeing Wanda go from good Wanda to bad Wanda was awesome. She is such a great actress, and Benedict Cumberbatch is such a great actor that they are going to mix so well together on the screen. I cannot wait. Seeing the zombie incarnates of each of them, which essentially confirms that we are getting a live action What If, at least inspired movie. It might not take directly from What If, but it is taking aspects. Remember, Wanda was a zombie in What If, and Vision kept her alive and was feeding her people, like real people, to keep her alive. So, this is all canon. This is all real stuff. Oh, I don't know if What If's canon technically, but they happen in other universes. But we see both of them as their zombie selves. We get a basically a very hard stamp that the Illuminati, the MCU's Illuminati, is going to make a presence in this movie. And aside from all of the huge shots, the CGI looked awesome in the trailer. American Chavez punching people and the big octopus thing, and Doctor Strange's powers and Wong and the sorcerer that was a bowl that's in the trailer, and everything Wanda related, and the tension. Patrick motherfucking Stewart confirmed to come back as Professor X. Is he the Professor X from the X-Men movies? Don't know. Is he the Professor X from Logan? Probably not. Is he the Professor X from the comics or the animated series? Who knows? But I do know that was 100,000% Patrick Stewart's voice. And when I heard that while watching the official trailer on my phone, I yelped like a little girl. X-Men, it's just so good how they tie all these things together. And they're doing it so well. I want to see this movie so bad. I need to see this movie. I don't want to wait till May. I just can't believe that we're finally bringing in the X-Men. We're finally bringing in mutants. I can almost guarantee that Mr. Fantastic was sitting on that Illuminati Council. I can almost guarantee that we might be getting a superior Iron Man. Probably played by Tom Cruise, if I had to guess. Because that's what the rumor is. And at this point, I'll believe anything. Just give me the movie. I want 3 hours of nothing but magic and cameos and people dying and zombies and Wanda Maximoff. So yeah, that was such a good trailer. It was such a good trailer, honestly. And that was my favorite part of the night, was the Doctor Strange trailer. And that's the nerd in me. I loved the game. I loved the halftime show. But that Doctor Strange trailer really, really drove it home for me in terms of, like, it just totally amplified my excitement for everything MCU moving forward. I'm still just as hyped for the Batman. I think the Batman's going to be the best movie of the year. And I cannot wait to see it. I think it comes out March 4th, but I'm going to see it at March 3rd. I got like Thursday night tickets at my local theater, which I always do. That's going to be fun. I spent a little bit more time talking about that than I wanted to. Boba Fett season finale was a letdown, and my gripe with the Boba Fett season finale, spoilers if you haven't seen it, why didn't Boba Fett just use Slave One, or his ship, to just kill everybody. I don't understand that. They obviously didn't care about damage to the city because half the city was destroyed, especially after that Rancor or whatever it was called went through the entire all like half of the buildings that looked like they were made of sand. So it was pretty disappointing in terms of a season finale. I think they're just at this point we're all ready for Obi-Wan in May. We're ready for it. And the entire show in its totality was just not very good to begin with. It was good. Don't get me wrong. It just wasn't. It wasn't Mandalorian. It wasn't any of the MCU shows. It was probably better than Falcon Winter Soldier, but it's tough. It's tough to have a Boba Fett show when his helmet is off 3/4 of the time, and he's not even in 2 of his own episodes. But those 2 episodes, especially episode 6, were legendary. So I was pretty disappointed in it, but whatever. I mean, it was fine. We had big fights this weekend, too. We had a lot going on this weekend. I told you guys, a lot of things happening. Adesanya versus Whitaker, UFC 271. Adesanya, probably my second favorite fighter behind McGregor. Won by unanimous decision. I think it was 48-47 on 2 scorecards and 49-46 on 1 scorecard. Kind of just beat up Robert Whitaker. Beat him up pretty good. What I like about that fight is everybody is hating that it was a boring fight. And people even saying that Robert Whitaker won. I don't see any outcome where Robert Whitaker's winning. He landed maybe 1, maybe 2 significant takedowns out of however many he attempted and however many he actually brought Adesanya to the ground for. To have a legit takedown in the UFC, you need to maintain control as the fight goes to the ground. If the opponent is automatically getting back up right when you take them down or seconds after you take them down, that isn't considered a takedown. And if it is for some reason, it should not be. Adesanya got taken down a few times, but he didn't really because he got right back up and then he would piece up Whitaker. Adesanya was using his leg kicks phenomenally, keeping Whitaker at distance. And I just don't think Whitaker could figure it out. I think Whitaker was using his feints well this time around and was more strategic in when he was going to go in and attempt to get closer. But Adesanya is the best striker the UFC has ever seen, and I'm going on record saying that. Besides maybe Anderson Silva, Adesanya is the best we have ever seen. And unless you're on his level in terms of striking or very close to it, it's going to be tough to get inside, even if you're a former champion of the division and on a 3-fight win streak versus 3 beasts in the division. I don't see anyone beating Adesanya anytime soon. I think he's going to be on top of the division for a very long time. Cannonier beat Brunson on the same card, second round TKO. I think. Yeah, it was a TKO. It wasn't a chokeout. It was a TKO. Yeah, because he elbowed him in the face real hard. I tell you what, Cannonier's going to have his hands full with Adesanya. I don't see a night where Cannonier beats Adesanya. And I wouldn't be surprised if Adesanya is a 2-1, if not a 3-1 favorite in going into that fight. I just don't see anyone beating Adesanya. And I heard this from Brendan Schaub today, actually, listening to his podcast. And I agree with him, where if Yuri, who is fighting Glover Teixeira for the light heavyweight championship, I'm pretty sure that's confirmed. If Yuri beats Glover, I reckon that Adesanya would be smart to go back up and attempt for that title again with someone who's a smaller light heavyweight in Yuri. And Brendan Schaub was making that point today, and I agree with him. That probably should have been what they did to begin with, because Jan Blachowicz is so huge and just insanely thick and strong, but that's neither here nor there. Derek Lewis got knocked out by Tai Tuivasa in the co-main event. Insane to me. I mean, I was not very surprised, but at the same time, I was expecting Derek Lewis to win. They're fighting in Houston in his hometown, so that kind of surprised me. But, you know, Tai Tuivasa is a beast. He's one of those people that is always game, and he doesn't really give a bollock about what he looks like or how he performs. He's just there to have fun and knock people out. And I think that attitude, especially in the heavyweight division of the UFC, is very useful because a lot of these people are so worried about the opposite. They're worried about what's going to happen. They want to not get hit or get knocked out because they know if they get hit once, they can get knocked the fuck out. I think Tai Tuivasa is the opposite, and I think he is exactly what the UFC needs right now in terms of a huge star, marketable international star in the heavyweight division, because you got Ngannou, who's an uber star now. Stipe is a star. He's the greatest heavyweight of all time, UFC heavyweight of all time. And now you got Tai Tuivasa in the mix. You got these other beasts in the division, but they're just not marketable. They don't do anything. So having Tai Tuivasa fight within the top 5 is very interesting, and I'm on the train. I hope he does well. I hope he wins. But yeah, and then our next pay-per-view is Masvidal versus Covington. I mean, it doesn't get better than that. It doesn't get better than that. A little bit shorter of a breakdown than I usually do. What's the next UFC event? Let's see what the Dos Anjos. Is that? I thought that got moved. Oh, wait. We got Dariush versus Islam Makhachev Saturday. Oh, wow. I got to watch that fight. It says the next fight card is Dos Anjos. Yeah, they moved it because the main event is Johnny Walker versus Jamahala Hill. I think they moved Dos Anjos to UFC 272, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's the co-main. Edson Barboza versus Bryce Mitchell's also on that UFC 272 card, and that's going to be fire. That's going to be absolutely fire. We'll talk more about the Covington versus Masvidal fight as the time gets closer, as Saturday, March 5th. So that means Batman that Thursday, and then Masvidal versus Covington that Saturday. It's gonna be a big. That's gonna be a big weekend, boys. It's gonna be a big one. But yeah, I had a lot of fun watching the card, and I'm a big Izzy guy. I hope big Izzy guy, but big Ty guy. I also love Derek Lewis. I don't see a route Jared Cannonier beats Izzy, and we'll see what happens next with that. That's going to be interesting. But 33 minutes in, and I think I'm going to put timestamps below as to where I'm breaking up these episodes, because I want to start talking about more, but I know there's people that just listen for the movies. There's people that listen that like the UFC. Most people are just listening for the whiskey, and I would say most people like to listen to the entire thing because I'm entertaining. But I'm thinking I'm going to start putting like sound bites in the description itself, and that way you can kind of just fast forward to sections you want to listen to. I think it's time we drink a little bit of whiskey. I think it's time we get a little bit of this Jack Daniel's 10-year into our gullet. And that is what we're drinking today, folks, here at Who Gives a Dram Studios. Jack Daniel's 10-year Tennessee whiskey, 48.5%, 97 proof. This is the first batch of what is going to be a staple in the Jack Daniel's line moving forward. They used about 200 barrels in this first batch. I think they said they made right around 24,000 bottles total. So very, very, very limited, only 24,000. That was a joke. The first age-stated whiskey that Jack Daniel's has produced in over a century. I thought that was an interesting fact. Jack Daniel's has several staples within their main line. They have the old number 7, the single barrel barrel proof, and then they have they have Gentleman Jack, and then they have all their flavors and other things like that. But this is going to be kind of what they're marketing as their more premium, readily available option that's not readily available. We'll talk about more about that in a minute. And you can't call it a bourbon. I think most people who are listening to this podcast probably know why you can't call Jack Daniel's a bourbon, but I'll tell you why again. It's because once the mash is created and once they're getting ready to put the new make into barrels, they filter each drop through, it's like 10 feet going down into smoked charcoal. I have it written down. What is it? Maple charcoal. That's what it is. It basically filters through maple charcoal. It's called the Lincoln County process. It's something that Jack Daniel's does. It's something that George Dickel does. And that's why they're considered Tennessee whiskey and not bourbon. Every other factor of Jack Daniel's remains consistent with what is legally a bourbon, except for that. So there's a huge argument whether Jack Daniel's is bourbon or not. I'm going to drink it regardless, so I don't really give a shit. I don't look at Jack Daniel's. I don't look down on Jack Daniel's because it's not a bourbon, because it's a Tennessee whiskey. I will drink it. I've had some fantastic single barrel selects from Jack Daniel's, and I've had the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof, which is bonkers, crazy, out of this world good. Too many adjectives there. But that's really a little bit of JD 101 for that ass going into this whiskey review here. And I tell you what, we've obviously broken into this bottle a little bit. I forgot how much we paid. I think we paid like $50 or $60 for this. MSRP is $70. And why I say that this is going to be a, quote, readily available, unquote, whiskey, because you can't freaking find this anywhere. Are you serious? You try to find Jack Daniel's 10, you're paying $250 to $300, sometimes even $400. We're going to say $250 to $300 as a ballpark. But the MSRP is at $70. So we're going to grade this as a $70 pour. And we're going to see if it's going to be good or not. Again, it's 10 years, so just instinctively I'm putting this up against the likes of Russell's Reserve 10. I'm putting this up against the likes of Eagle Rare and whatever other 10-year bourbons are out there that I cannot think of right now. But there's very rarely is there an age-stated bourbon of 10 years. They're few and far between, but they're all very good for what I can remember. I'm taking a quick looky-poo behind me, see if I can see anything. No, nothing besides the Eagle Rare and the Russell's Reserve 10, which I actually just killed that bottle. I don't know where it is. I think it's in my closet. That's where I keep all my empty bottles. There's about 100 of them. But let's get into the actual review, guys. That's what you guys want to hear, so let's do it. And plus, I want to drink. I could not wait to record this podcast today, which is probably why I'm going a little bit longer than usual, because it's been a few days, man. It's been fun, but it's just been long, and I needed to just get my thoughts out on the issues I wanted to get my thoughts out on, and drink a little whiskey, and that's what we're doing now. I hate judging the color, honestly, because it looks like bourbon. It's a little lighter, I guess, than other 10 years, maybe. I feel like this isn't as dark as Eagle Rare, maybe, but I mean, it still looks delicious. Let's give it a little sniff. Oh, smells wow. Very bright is the first word that comes to mind on the nose. It smells like a higher proof Jack Daniel's, honestly. And I drank Jack Daniel's 2 or 3 nights ago because I knew I was going to be recording this episode, and I wanted to have a little bit of a buffer going in as to what to expect. Now, was it good? Not really. It was fine. But I drank it neat in a Glencairn. I tried to actually do a tasting. But this is oh man. Oh, I forgot to mention the mash bill, and I thought of this because this smells like dusty corn. This is 80% corn. It's 80% corn. What did I write down in my notes? 12% malted barley and 8% rye. This smells very fruity and dry. good amount of vanilla on there, but it's mainly more like it's corn. Like it just it's bright, it's inviting, it's maybe fruity's not the right word. Because it's not dark. There's no dark notes to this. There's no butterscotch. There's no caramel. There's no like dark candies like that. It's very like a fruity candy almost. Mmm. Smells terrific. A little bit of maple on there, which makes sense. Maybe I'm just thinking of maple from the Lincoln County process. Uh, but maybe like a little bit like a maple candy with some old dusty corn in there. A little bit of sweet tobacco up in there as well. It's nice. It's inviting. It smells like a higher proofed Jack Daniels. So, speaking of higher proof, I want to get some of this into my body. So, to another week of Who Gives a Dram, you guys. Cheers. Drink some JD. Way fruity on the palate, especially on the back end. Interesting first sip right there, you guys. Interesting first sip. I don't hate it, and I like it, but I don't know if I love it. First sip was very tame. What is it, 98? 97? A few proof points higher than Eagle. I can't compare this to Eagle Rare. I got to get it out of my head. I got to grade it on its own. Let's take another sip. It's actually good. It's actually really good. I get like a spicy candy on the palate. Maybe like peppermint. Not spicy, like what are those chewy, fruity? They're not Altoids. They're just like fruit chews or something. What are they called? I gotta Google this because that's what it tastes like. To a point, it doesn't taste exactly like it, but chewy fruit candies. What are they called? Not juicy fruits, just like fruit slices, I guess. Or I guess just fruit slices. Like I know there's a fucking word for them. What are they? Not Laffy Taffy. It's like a spicy fruit slice. Is that what it is? I think it's just called fruit slices. But like those spicy fruit candies. That's kind of what this tastes like. It has a bit of a kick to it, especially like mid palate. Very on the very front, it's nothing but like vanilla and candied fruit, and then it hits a little bit more of that spice. But it's like a sweet spice. It's not like a rye spice or a barrel spice. I guess maybe the barrel's playing off a little bit into the palate, but not a whole hell of a lot. Kind of tastes like cough medicine, but in a good way. I hate cough medicine. Maybe like black cherry. I get definitely tobacco on the back and like that tobacco sweetness that we always talk about. And then vanilla throughout. It's good. It's good. This is very tame. It's intense compared to JD Old Number 7, but it's very tame in terms of what it is. There's not a lot. I don't want to say there's not a lot going on in this glass, but maybe it's just the hype of the bottle itself where you expect it just to blow your socks off, let me put it this way. If you're paying $300 for this bottle, and I've said this before on the podcast, and I'm going to say it again, put on a vest with a bunch of zippers on it and take a hike. Go jump in the ocean and don't come back. I'm pretty sure I've said both of those on the podcast before. If you're paying anywhere over, honestly, MSRP for this, like, what are you doing, dude? This is good, but it's not that good. I'm even struggling to make this worth $70, to be completely honest with you guys. Like, it's good. It's got that, like, black cherry candied, like, spicy fruit slices. That's what I get. I should pair this, like whiskey, like my boy Eric at Whiskey Mutant, with candied fruit slices, those spicy ones, and see if it goes well together. I feel like that's would be a good pair for this. Hashtag pair everything. Shout out to Eric. Such a good guy. And if you don't listen to This Is My Bourbon podcast, what are you doing? It's one of my favorite ones. Eric and Perry are awesome. I love listening to their podcast. Plus, we both listen to this, what's it called? The Weekly Planet podcast with Mr. Sunday Movies and his co-host, I'm forgetting his name right now. But top tier podcast if you're a movie lover and if you're a TV lover and you're a comedy lover, because it is like a staple in my podcast queue. Probably the best movie podcast out there if I had to pick one. Film and Whiskey is good too. Film and Whiskey is a good movie podcast as well. Shout out to those guys. And so is Who Gives a Dram, turning into a movie podcast, kind of. But overall, I mean, listen, man, this is JD. It's good. It's very solid. There is no way I am even, like, saying anywhere near this secondary price is even remotely appropriate for this bottle. That's all hype. I would honestly, if I didn't know the price of this, I'd say $70 is a high price for this. I would say this is like a $50 bottle, MSRP. Yeah. It's good. It's good. Like, I'm not going to say it's bad. It's good. I like that, like, it's a very interesting back part of the palate with that black cherry that I'm at least getting. It doesn't mean you have to get it. I'm getting it. And then mix it in with a bit of a more, it goes from sweet to a bit more spicy and then sweet on the way down. There's no heat to it, which I quite enjoy. 80% corn. This is right up my alley in terms of a sweeter bourbon. I love my wheaters. I love my I love my wieners. I love my wheaters. I love my high corn mash bills. This is right up my alley, and this is good. I would drink this as like a daily sipper, but for $70, I don't know if it's a $70 bottle, to be just 1,000% honest. Given that, I'd probably give this like an 8.4. If this was $20 less, it'd be in the 9s, but I just can't justify spending $70 on this when I can get Eagle Rare for $40, if that, maybe even less, and Russell's Reserve for right around the same price. So stamp that 8.4 Jack Daniel's 10-year. If you find the bottle at MSRP, you should buy it. You 1,000% should buy it. Just please don't spend the money on the secondary for this bottle. No hate to Jack Daniel's, otherwise. This is great. I love this. I'm so happy that we found it for retail, and I am going to continue to drink it. But 8.4 Jack Daniel's 10-year. So there we go. The hype behind that bottle. Not really worth it, but it's also pretty freaking good. And with that being said, we're 15 minutes in, so it is time for me to end the show. And I want to end the show by saying thank you to everybody who is listening, who has been listening, who are new listeners. It means the world that you're checking out my whiskey podcast, my thoughts every week on what is happening in my life, what's happening in whiskey, and reviewing another whiskey. It means the world that you stop by and check out my content. Follow me on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. It's all Who Gives a Dram. Make sure you're following my other podcast, Bourbon with Friends, on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok as well. Make sure you're subscribed there. If you're still listening at this point, leave me a rating and review on iTunes. It would mean the world to me just to have at least a 5-star rating if you think it's 5 stars, or leave a little cute review. Say I look cute or something like that. That would make my day. And be on the lookout, Bourbon with Friends. This weekend we are getting together. The friends behind the Bourbon with Friends are getting together for a weekend full of shenanigans, and I am so excited to go down. And this is just another step in the whiskey journey, you guys. Those of you guys have been with me since day one, I'm sure you can tell that this is kind of a big deal to me. So even though it's just it's business, but it's also leisure. So mixing the two, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited to go down. So until next week, you guys, make sure you go buy my merch, www.thegrapevinemedia.com. $35 for a sweatshirt. If you buy one, let me know. Hit me up on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. Just let me know you bought one. I'd love to know who has some of my merch out, because it won't be up forever. But this is my first step forward in the merch game, and I hope that you guys enjoy the sweatshirt, and I appreciate you guys for getting one, because that's really the best way you can help me as a show, as a podcast, as a brand. But on that note, it's time to go. So Nick Bossy's playing me out, you guys. What Happened to Country? As always, my brother Nick Bossy. By the way, gotta remember this as well. Next week, we are reuniting the Canadian Takeover. I'm having Mike at Whiskey Morgue and Daryl at Whiskey Sith back on the show. We're going to be sampling some more Canadian whiskey and talking a whole lot of nonsense. So be ready for that next week, Canadian Takeover Part 2. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing my good buddies and drinking whiskey and talking some shit with them. So on that note, now it's finally time to go. Have a great rest of your week, you guys. I appreciate you guys checking out the show, supporting the show. And as always, remember, whiskey's the water of life. So let's start living.
My hands are tired from paying my bills, I'm staring at a bottle, I'm aiming to kill. Weeks passing by and the seasons keep changing. I'm playing my song, trying to make me a name. People say as they walk out the bar, the kid's gone places, maybe even a star. They don't play country down in Nashville today, just the same chord progression with nothing to say. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up and fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. They use auto-tune now down on Music Row, 'cause true country died there a long time ago. No, they don't play Waylon on the boulevard, but they'll do anything to be rock stars. What happened to country? 3 chords and the truth. And who's gonna step up and fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry. But I do believe there is hope for us yet, 'cause there's millions of people who cannot forget the way Johnny Cash brought a tear to their eyes, or how Marty Robbins painted Texas skies. What happened to country, three chords and the truth? And who's gonna step up and fill their big shoes, writing songs about outlaws, singing all night, and songs that'll make a grown man cry? A grown man cry. A grown man cry. I won't let country die.